Hi everyone, it's Mr. Corzine. I wanted to make sure and finish up these notes that we didn't quite finish in class. We're finding the if I go back here to the beginning, we're talking about powers and products and really finding the power of a power. That's that's the main focus. And so, like in general, what's going to happen is we're going to be multiplying each of the exponents by this new power that's being raised to. So in this for this monomial that's getting raised to the fourth power, what I want you to remember is 5 has an exponent. It's the exponent of 1. And so we multiply each exponent, even that 1, times 4. So my new monomial is going to be 5 to the 4th, j to the 8th, and k to the 12th. Now, if you wanted to multiply 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, that wouldn't be a terrible number to deal with, but we can just leave it in this form right now. In this problem, this one can throw people off a little bit. We want to remember that we will follow the order of operations. So like some people, they look at this and they say, well, what do I do? Do I do this exponent first, or do I multiply times 2? Well, according to the order of operations, I need to evaluate exponents first. So I'm actually going to distribute that 3. So it says 3 to the 3rd times a to the 6th. And we'll keep that in parentheses and keep that 2 right in front of it. Now from here, it could really help if we take this 3 to the 3rd and we make it a 27. Okay. What we don't want to do is do 2 times 3 and raise the 3 or raise that 6 to the 3rd power, because 6 times 6 times 6 is different than what we would get if we just made this a 27 and then doubled it. So now we've got 27 times a to the 6th, but we still need to multiply times 2. And here's where I will caution you. You're not really using the distributive property. You're not going to take 2 and multiply times 27 and times a to the 6th. What this is really saying is 2 times 27 times a to the 6th. If you look at it that way, then the final answer is 54 times a to the 6th, and that's what we should have. Okay, next slide. In this next one, we have to multiply these 2 monomials together, but first we need to raise a to the 3rd to the 2nd power. So this actually is a to the 6th, and now I've got a to the 6th times negative a times b to the 5th. Remember this negative a, this is actually a coefficient of 1, and it gets separated out. So if I rewrite and reorganize everything, this is going to say a negative 1 times a to the 6th times b to the 5th. And if we do it all that way, then we get a to the 7th here, b to the 5th here, and then we get a negative 1 that's sitting in front. So we just do like that. Okay. Try not to get ahead of yourself. Try not to get too much at once or too much in your head, because you'll lose track of this negative 1, or you'll start to think that it needs to get canceled out because of this exponent that's here, and that has nothing to do with it. All right, and then we move down to this bottom problem. I need to distribute my 3's here and my 5's here to make my new monomial. So I've got 5 to the 3rd, f to the 6th, and t to the 21st. And then I've got d to the 20th and f to the 10th. Now I'm multiplying all of these together. And I just have to find the things that are alike and combine them. I've got some f's here. So I've got 16 f's. So that's f to the 16th. I've got d to the 20th that has nothing to do with anything else. So I put that here. And then let's go back to t to the 21st. Well, that just goes at the end. T to the 21st. And then I still have a coefficient of 5 to the 3rd. And that's my final answer. I can't do any more than that. Okay, next one. Simplify if a equals -4, b equals 3, and c equals -1. Here, we're going to evaluate all this the best that we can by plugging in all these numbers. So I'm going to rewrite this one to say 2 times -4 raised to the second power. Well, what is -4 raised to the second power? -4 times -4 is 16. Then I multiply times 2, and it gives me 32. It's as simple as that. Again, if you try and skip steps or do too much in your head, sometimes people will end up in weird places. So go step by step, and you'll avoid issues. All right, now I've got c raised to the b power. Well, first of all, I'm going to put a -1 in here, and I'm going to raise that to the third power. Well, -1 to the third power is -1 times -1 times -1. Two of these negatives are going to cancel out, but I'm still going to have a last negative, so it's still a negative. Hopefully these are starting to become a little easier for you guys. Find the volume of a cube if the edge is 4x squared and y to the third. Please don't rush too much through this one. A cube is, it's got 6 sides, it's got a length, a width, and a height, and you multiply all those together. But if every side is 4x squared y to the third, well then the next one, this height is going to be 4x squared y to the third. And the depth is going to be 4x squared y to the third. So I'm going to end up multiplying length times width times height. They're all the same thing. So it's 4x squared y to the third times itself 3 times raised to the third power. If I do it that way, this becomes an easier problem. The volume is going to be equal to all of this cubed. So now 4 to the first power is multiplied times 3. Each one of those powers get multiplied times 3. So my volume is going to be 4 to the third, x to the sixth, and y to the ninth. Now 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. So since it's a number less than 100, I would usually evaluate that and write my final answer like this. Okay. All right, we're almost done. Last slide here is just a way to check to see if you're doing things correctly. I would strongly advise that you go through and do this one on your own first. If you can do this, then you're going to be in great shape. So pause it, check this out, do it on your own, and then come back and see if your answers match up with my answers. So for this one right here, 2 to the third raised to the fourth power, I'm just going to multiply those two exponents together, and you end up with 2 to the 12th power. Please don't try and evaluate that. I don't think that's gonna be very nice. 3x squared y to the fourth. All of this raised to the third power. I'm gonna do just like this. Even the 3 has a power. It's gonna be 1. So this becomes 3 to the third, x to the sixth, y to the 12th. And if you wanted to, you could say 27x to the sixth, y to the. In fact, I think I mentioned it before. If it's a number less than 100, you should go ahead and evaluate it. On the other side, it's the same thing. This is going to be x raised to the power of m times n. And then this one here, x to the nth power at y to the nth power. Okay. Hopefully this wasn't too bad for you. Now you need to finish up your worksheet, the 8.2 worksheet. Once that's done and we go over it on Monday, then we'll actually be ready to start with the book chapter topic 8. You should have all of the details that you need to get started. So we'll see you on Monday. Hopefully this was helpful. Bye, guys.